I have tasted the maggots in the mines of the universe, and I was not offended, for I knew I had to rise above it all, or drown in my own shit.
If you really want to just hear pure funk, it's just George Clinton. I think that's the only place you really find it.
George didn't just create a sound, he created funk attitude.
He shows us how to take the art of our minds and turn it into the art of this world.
George is a trickster. He's one of the ultimate jokesters and tricksters.
He's probably got about more than 3 or 4 sides, maybe about 8 or 9 characters in there. There's a whole lot of people in there.
George is the guru. Don't get it twisted. George is from another planet.
He freaked the world out.
Music coming to my life, that's something that I wanted to do, probably when I was like 12 years old. But when I saw Frankie Lyman doing Why Do Fools Fall in Love, that was it. Everybody, every school boy in the area was in some kind of group after that.
They started off as a doo-wop group, you know, just like everybody else, you know, the Parliaments, you know, singing on the street corner like the Temptations or the Four Tops.
By the time we was 16, we were probably one of the best groups around the area. We won all the talent shows. We got our hair done, you know, and the waves, and they got the doo-wop looks. And matter of fact, right after that, we started working in the barbershop. We started doing our own hair, each other's hair.
They would do your hair, and then after they done did your hair, they stand around and sing.
We was making lots of money frying hair.
Any stylist, what do? They take your energy that you have and they give it a whole extra flavor. And so George was already developing that technique with people that came into the barbershop, and they got their music together, and they decided, you know, it's time to take this to another level.
The group itself was formed in the barbershop in Plainfield, New Jersey, but George himself, he's from down south.
I was born in Kannapolis, North Carolina, an outhouse. My mother thought, the truth now, thought she had to go to the bathroom. So funk was predestined with me. In 1960, to begin the Motown.
You know, everybody wanted to go to Motown, and Parliament was the prime target for that.
They liked his sound, but he was told he was one of many. He wound up on Revelot Records, which is a small independent label in Detroit. It was because he couldn't crack the inner circle of the Motown operations.
So then we did a record for Parliament called I Want to Testify. And Testify was a hit in 3 weeks after I finished it.
I was listening to the radio one day, and I heard this song called I Just Want to Testify. And it totally blew my mind, you know, because I was into Motown. And so it kind of sounded like Motown, but it was like, oh, this is a little strange. This is kind of nasty and crazy and psychedelic.
And it sounded like the Temptations,
drunk.
A change, why there's been a change, and it's oh so plain to see. Love just walking on me, and it's taking me by surprise.
And they'll probably tell you they weren't prepared for the chart action that they had and doing tours with legitimate groups that had steps and had coordinated outfits and everything, but that was the style. They were the Parliaments, right, named after a cigarette.
There never was a better time. You never had a better reason to switch to Parliament.
They got a few singles out on this label that mysteriously disappeared shortly afterward.
And that's where the name got tied up. When he lost the name, Parliaments, and we couldn't use it no more, he went to Billy, Eddie, Tiki, Burning Warrior, and Ty Ross. They were the band, the backup band for Parliament. So he just took the band and put them up front and made Parliaments the background singers for Funkadelic.
If you will suck my soul, I will lick your funky emotions.
I can't get next to you, get next to you.
The thing was, with so many African Americans that were artists and entertainers at that time, it was to stay safe, because you know we can't do like they do. We can't smoke like they smoke. You know, da 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 da. So again, here we come with the sign of the times. Everything must change.
When you run into the hippies, and all of them was talking about Vietnam War. I didn't know nothing about the Vietnam War. I hadn't even registered. And I hadn't even noticed yet that all my friends, well, all people I knew was going over there and wasn't coming back yet.
You couldn't avoid the politics and the political realities of black life. The Black Panthers were a prominent organization. The whole Black Power movement was an undercurrent running through the psychedelic rock movement.
We've got Jimmy out there. We've got Sly out there, you know, and they sort of opened it up for the changes that were coming with Funkadelic.
The black community itself was going through a bit of a divergence between smooth soul and hard funk.
And Funkadelic was that type of black band that said, hey, you know, we want the white boy deal.
Played with the Vanilla Fudge one day and used the equipment. And right away we went, bought a whole bunch of Marshalls, went to the Salvation Army and got a whole bunch of old raggedy costumes and things, sheets and diapers, and it's like turned the music up loud as we could. And it was like 10 Jimi Hendrix.
And George was going to be in a dashiki with nothing on underneath it, jump on the tables with everything hanging. Okay? Trust me now. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? It's going to be hanging, swanging, and dangling.
People just thought he was crazy. You know, that was crazy. So he was getting attention. And that was the main goal, is to get attention.
We got psychedelic as hell. And since we were late doing it, I said, I'm gonna have to do it so radical that it seemed like we was on time.
And they realized, you know, we're raggedy, but maybe we should take this raggedy approach and turn it into something good. Let's turn it into a positive. Let's turn it into something that really is what we're about.
By the way, my name is Funk. I am not of your world. Host it, baby. I won't do you no harm.
We saw the white rock groups had blues and rock and roll, and we realized we gave that stuff away. So now we're trying to capture the other tempo of music, which was the mid-tempo, which was the nasty music.
When you sit there and you think of these black people, this black band, you know, really doing rock music, you know, and that's kind of rare now, you know, but Black people used to really like rock music.
I think I'll be good to you.
And being that we had used the Miller Fudge equipment and saw what this loud sound like, we was psychedelic out of our mind. Went to Boston, played with this equipment and got these costumes and dropped acid for the first time and went completely out of our mind.
You smoke a good joint, you get a little creative. You take some acid, well, you're gonna get real creative.
And the Beatles come along with Sgt. Pepper. I lost it. At that moment, I lost it completely. Because here was a record that combined everything I liked about music. And so we got right into a thing of wanting to do an album with a concept like Sgt. Pepper.
First Funkadelic album is Funkadelic. If you're gonna make up a word to describe it, you'd have to call it Funkadelic. It has this deep pocket. It has a grinding, slow pocket all the way through it. But it's out to lunch with lunch meat.
Free your mind and your ass will follow. The kingdom of heaven is within.
Free your mind and your ass will follow. I think P-Funk developed a whole new level.
Did it all in one day. We had echo plexus, everything was sound effects.
The addition of Bernie Worrell, classically trained, pitch-perfect musician, was a way of showing that black folks had a real broad range of influences. They was deep people.
He'll put Bach, Beethoven, stuff in between our music in a heartbeat.
Free your mind, your ass will follow was a way of saying we're all in it together until we get our heads clean. We don't know what to do to get out of it. If we react too fast because of we're pissed, we're gonna be just as bad as the other people that we're talking about.
Maggot Brain was probably the most polished and most frightening Funkadelic album, to come out. Well, it was only the third. And then here comes this crazy-looking record with this screaming black woman's head on the cover, coming out the ground, and then you play this music, and it has this rock guitar soliloquy that just takes things to a whole different place, and you're like, what is going on?
Oh, Eddie Hazel, when he did Maggot Brain, he came in one day, a little down in the dumps, I guess, and George just surrounded Eddie, just put him in the middle of the floor out there in the studio and surrounded him with Marshall amps. And he just let him cry his heart out.
Eddie's a really emotional guy. As good as he could sing, he wouldn't sing many songs on the album because he get halfway through the song with his job and start crying.
And then what George did was just take everybody else out, the drums, the bass, and just kept Charles ding, 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 ding. When George had Eddie surrounded with all those amps, he told him to play like his mother had died. And that's what you got out of that. That's Mega Brain.
When you get down into it, Funkadelic has arrived. Funkadelic has, made its case. We are the most authentic expression of the realities of black life.
Americans is Young was, wow. That was the first Funkadelic project that we worked on. We, meaning Bootsy and his brother Catfish and our horn players, because we came from James Brown and formulated a group called the House Guests, and then Joy saw us and we became Funkadelic.
It wasn't until Bootsy got fired from James Brown's band. I think they all took acid or something and got a little too high, and James Brown runs a tight ship. Bootsy spoke on how it's different, James Brown was like, you're docked if you miss rehearsal, this and that. Have to play it like this, keep it the same every bar. George was like, do what you feel, baby.
Gonna have a funky good time. 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 Take 'em up, gotta take it high.
Bootsy would help me put together something called P-Funk. He brought the one with him, the concept of what James was using. Then he brought Macy and Fred with him, Pee-wee. So now we had an army.
The concept of the one is a deep concept. For Bootsy, it's a musical thing.
If you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, you accent the one so hard that James Brown always, we do, we want the funk, give up the funk, oh, we want the funk. You know what I'm saying? Everything hit on that downbeat.
But that's just the musical definition. There's a social, cosmological definition that has to do with everybody on the same pulse with the rhythms of the universe.
So the one is musically strong. The one in real life is strong. Everything's on the one, everybody together, and it makes things stronger.
Bootsy had much respect for George because George was not trying to stay in the norm African-American black bubble, the R&B and the soul thing.
Bootsy and George Clinton were joined at the hips, musically, funkily, spiritually, emotionally. It's like George would start a sentence and Bootsy would finish it in terms of the music. Bootsy was the bottom, he was the power, he was the thrust. And George was the brainiac, the genius who would capture it. And together in the funk market, they were the mighty funk duo.
I think one of my abilities in this, is to attract nuts, crazy folks, and then help them or let them do whatever they do. As a matter of fact, I tell them, do everything they tell you not to do in the studio. I can always take it off.
The best way to me in the studio for George is like title funk referee. It's like you've got 20 individuals in the studio and he's in the center. And his ears are like, he's got these like radars for ears and they're honing in all at the same time.
He was not the type of producer to tell you what to do. He was the type of producer to inspire you to do your best and just let you fly, let you do what you want,
Say like maybe Michael Hampton is over in the corner noodling on a guitar line. Or someone's doing something or tapping a beat or maybe on the railing of some stairs. And George say, do that again?
My thing is getting stuff out of people and putting people together who wouldn't ordinarily work together. I have a lot of that, and people who would hate each other if they had to, but through myself, they can work together and then appreciate themselves after for having done it.
One of the things that you might hear George do was, who's the worst singer in the room? All right, it's your turn. Get in there.
So he's just like soaking it in like a big sponge. He is enhancing and creating and enhancing and creating and putting it on wax.
Cosmic Slop is interesting because musically it shows George Clinton and the band's attempt to be as clean and accessible as possible with their funkadelic sound. However, George Clinton hired a young a visual artist from Chicago named Pedro Bell to do the album artwork, which was anything but clean.
He did Cosmic Slop with these pimps and bugs and hoes and all kind of rotten characters with big cars and things, and it was funny as hell.
George would give Pedro a concept, and he'd go insane with it and just totally nail exactly what George wanted, as if George wrote it himself.
He could scribble in all his little statements like,
There is nothing harder to stop than an idea whose time has come to pass. Funkadelic is what time it is.
He was like our only place to see African Americans, Asian Americans, Chinese, girls with big butts instead of little skinny girls, girls with kinky hair.
But he came up with ways of interpreting whatever I was feeling or saying that satisfied me.
One thing that really draws me to George Clinton is his way of thinking. I actually got to watch him use language to shift the paradigm.
Hey, baby, here's the record and dance that's sweeping the country. The Parliament's up for the downstroke.
Get up for the downstroke. Everybody get up. Get up for the downstroke. Everybody get up. Get up for the downstroke. Everybody get up.
The Parliament name became free again. From the first time, we made a deal with somebody who I always wanted to sing with, and that was Neil Bogart.
once George hooked up with him, the two had sort of like minds in terms of hustling and marketing and coming up with wild new ideas, and that's when he resurrected Parliament for real.
We did the first record was Up for the Downstroke. It did a little bit, made a little noise. Then we did Chocolate City. Made a lot of noise.
This scatological jazz riffing and vamping that was going on was unlike anything else in black music. And then to talk about Chocolate City and its vanilla suburbs was a way of really putting a black identity into black music at a time when integration was the theme.
What's happening, CC? They still call it the White House, but that's a temporary condition too. Can you dig it, CC?
People was talking about integration so much, folks forgot to talk about what is black America gonna be doing after all this integration. And George Clinton had a sense of a sociological vision that not everybody was up on.
God bless CC and its vanilla suburbs.
Funkadelic is more guitar radical. It's the rock side of what Parliament-Funkadelic is. And Parliament is a more vocal side. Like you will see that there are more vocalists on the Parliament records than there may be on the Funkadelic records. Then you might see a little glimmer of both going in between. So, what difference?
Funkadelic is funky, Parliament is tight. You go far out and funky as you can, make it as tight as you can, you bring that together, you're on the one with some P-Funk.
The combination of Bernie's crazy 11/13 over 18 minor over major chord, right there on the one, with Bootsy's bass note, with that cymbal crash and with that heavy foot, all of that, and with the vocals, all of that, Aqua Boogie, baby, you know? Ow! I lay me down to sleep. With all of that coming at you, it was like the Big Bang, you know? It was too much to deny. The chord was heavy, the drums was heavy, the bass was heavy, the philosophy was heavy, the singing was gospel. It was like, that's when it started to gel. And that's when they became this, that's when they took it over.
The Mothership Connection, the concept behind that was, we had did Chocolate City, which concept was black people in places you didn't expect them to be. In the White House, the Secretary of State, and all that. So after that, it went over very well. After that, I said, now where else that you don't have black people in? You don't see black people for the most part. Outer space. Only one you saw was Aurora on Star Trek. So we said, okay, there's some niggas in outer space.
The Mothership Connection is just got so much power, so much concept, so much vision in it. It's hard to compare it to other music because it's spiritual, but it's in its own context.
Using street language, using street slang, people understood it, people related to it. Don't step on my funk, uncut funk, the bomb. Bring your music, get your shit, you know what I'm saying? It was the coolest thing out there.
You knew him as this guy from the street that, just like anybody else, you know, and he got with his homeboys and he took his whole homeboy crew and they did these big productions, but it was all based in streetness. So it's kind of like, you can look at him like he's like me, you know, I can relate to him.
So you had the P-Funk All-Stars in full effect at that point. And then the Mothership Connection takes the funk, takes the music to a whole other intergalactic, interplanetary level, full of affirmation. You've got all that is truly needed to save a dying world from its funklessness. That's what it says.
We got a whole history of music on one record, you know, with Fred, Macy, and Bootsy, myself, Bernie, and all of that was the Mothership Connection. All of that was connected to all of us.
Want you to know that the mothership has landed. It's time to tear the roof out the mother sucker. Direct to you from Chocolate City, may I present Parliament-Funkadelic.
George Clinton had a sense that his band was the hottest, the largest, the strongest, and the heaviest in the business. And Neil Bogart, the owner of Casablanca Records, had a sense of giving people the biggest and most outrageous show that he could.
And, you know, they got advances, a little money or whatever, and all the members went out and they were like, yeah, man, we're gonna buy these Cadillacs, you know? So everybody wanted to buy big cars. And George, he was like, no, you know, we should take our money and invest it in this spaceship. And they're like, what the fuck you talking about, you know?
We started to tour with the Mothership. We had Star Child, Bootsy, Dr. Funkenstein, the Brides of Funkenstein, and Booty Snatchers, and all that on the stage, a big production.
This is back in the 70s, and it wasn't like black acts had like huge budgets, you know, like a Kiss or somebody like that, so they were really doing it.
It was really like a Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus. Now add the props in the science fiction, add the Aqua Boogie bird flying around.
20-foot shades that go across the stage.
And the mothership coming down.
The giant pyramid with the eyeball.
Crazy wigs, crazy hats.
I used to fly in the air, right? They had me flying. One day they couldn't get me down.
Now, there have been shows before and since that have that much glitter and technology, but there was something about the message and the scope of that show that still resonates today, because it was really one of the first black spectacle concerts.
Once they kicked off the landing of the Mothership, everybody's show had to go, you know?
Let us and we'll turn this mother out.
P-Funk is all these theatrics and stuff on top of pure, real, hardcore musicianship.
You know, you have about 15, 16 people on stage who are all, by the way, some of the greatest musicians you'll ever see. They're all, you know, like in these all different kinds of characters.
Dr. Funkenstein, clones of Funkenstein, Star Child, Cerdos.
Hey, Gary, give me a double up. Keep that foot up there now.
And then you had Michael Hampton, who would wear a fencing mask. You never even really got to see Michael Hampton. He was a guitar player. You had Gary Scheider wearing a diaper.
I still wear a diaper. I used to steal those towels from the Holiday Inn. I'd put about 4 holes in the side, strap it around my butt. I was good to go.
And it's really, honestly, it's not even about the clothes, but it is. Because what it is about the person behind it. Like, if you can do that on stage, or if you can perform that way, if you can do it with a diaper, it's kind of like, it's more of a freedom thing than just throwing on something.
You had a series of drummers. You had singers that were sexy. You had Don Silver and Lynn Mabry. You had Jeanette and Debbie and the girls coming out. And, you know, we had our own little go-go girls out there.
Here are a bunch of entities that could have been made hit records on their own, all in this super group that each part's rich. Follow what you want. I'm just gonna stare at the horn players and listen to the horn players. I'm just gonna follow the keyboard player. I'm just gonna watch George. He's crazy.
I used to stand on the side of the stage and watch how he controls the audience, how he watches, and he doesn't miss anything, how he can control the band, the singers, the drummer, his foot.
I'll follow his right foot. I won't mess with his left foot. His right foot is always on. His left foot, not always, you know what I mean? You know, but his right foot, I'll follow that to the end of the world, you know what I mean?
Mothership connection is here. Y'all say it. The mothership connection is here.
He's probably got about more than 3 or 4 sides, maybe about 8 or 9 characters in there. There's a whole lot of people in there.
George is a trickster. He's one of the ultimate jokesters and tricksters, and he can fool you into thinking you're getting something serious and it's really silly, and then he can act a fool and, you know, realize you're getting something serious at the same time.
And it's very important to him to educate our fans without being pushy.
He's very knowledgeable about a lot of things that go on in life, like the way things are the way they are, why we do what we do, why we play the music that we play, why we feel the way we feel, why others feel the way they feel.
If George had any bad side, I would say it would be being too nice, too naive.
You have the withdrawn person, and then you have Dr. Funkenstein.
Say it again, y'all. The mothership connection is here. Say it now, y'all. The mothership connection is here.
P-Funk becoming a way of life, a style of life, a lifestyle. I think right after Mothership Connection, the fans started joining up, as fan club members. They started becoming geepies with Bootsy and Funketeers with us.
And then you got these other guys like running around with these skeletons hanging all off of them, skull bones, you big wolves with teeth, And it's just like they wanted to let you know that. They believed it. And then they start doing the P-Funk slogan. And men, women, children just running around throwing up these P-Funk slogans like it was some military regulation or something.
Pedro, Overton, and Ronald started putting us in communication, but we have the album covers that our fans could join the group, because everybody felt like they was part of the group.
From the ocean comes a notion that the real us lies in rhythm, and the rhythm of vision is a dancer.
The
Motor Booty Affair. Yeah, this is the big one. Not your average 50-yard dash of funk. The Olympics, cross-country style.
From about 1975 through 1979, P-Funk music owned the charts. Tear the Roof Off the Sucker, We Want the Funk was their first #1 hit, put them on the map. And from that point on, it was a variation on the theme until the more electronic elements of funk showed up, which of course P-Funk pioneered very shortly afterward with Flashlight in 1978 and Aqua Boogie coming along shortly thereafter. Bootsy Collins and the Rubber Band had a string of hits. While Parliament was doing it, the only one missing was Funkadelic, but we was about to hear from them.
Now, we were finished touring. We were so tired of touring, we were ready to go fishing and have fun. But in the meantime, we had done an album from Warner Brothers with Funkadelic. And his record was loaded with hits.
I mean, it was light years in time ahead of its time, but it was, you know, really speaking to things years past in terms of a black nation that was coming of age, but it was really for everybody. One Nation Under a Groove transcended this notion of a black thing, but it was a funk thing. And if you on the one, then you were part of the P-Funk Nation.
P-Funk was its own language. So when you heard that language, you recognized it. Sometimes it wasn't how you recognized it last year. You know, they would have like hit song after hit song that hit you in the chest, and it wasn't always the same formula. Tear the Roof Off the Sucker, We Want the Funk, it was all acoustic instruments, drums, bass, guitar. And then the right year after that, One Nation on the Groove and Flashlight, all keyboards and synthesizers.
And that's like the first time a record is done with the bass on a synthesizer. So people are like, what the hell is this? It's not a real bass. It's all synthesizers and guitar. So it's like, the sound is like something you never heard before.
The entrance of Junie Morrison, the veteran of the Ohio Players, actually the inventor of the funky worm that put the Ohio Players on the map.
Everybody knows that's one of the most sampled songs in hip-hop. That's the crazy... He's going back in the hole. Look at him going in the hole, funky worm. Woo. He did that for them. But after he became too psycho for Ohio Players, George pulled him in. He wound up with P-Funk.
It got so big at one point that George had started splitting up and taking all of these talented individuals that were within his organization and going in and getting record deals with different companies.
So he had the Brides on one label, he had Parlette on another label, he had the Horny Horns on another label, and Parliament-Funkadelic on 2 different labels.
Aqua Boogie, baby, come on with it, y'all. Talk to her one more time, girl.
Swing on my back, yeah. Rhythm in my back. I can't do my thing underwater. I got string attached to my back. Will you pull my string? I can't do my thing like order.
Every time we looked around, we had another record coming from someplace. And that smashed. And by the time we finished that tour, came back, again, we were ready to rest, and we did one called Uncle Jam, and we figured, okay, this time for us to slow down. Then Knee Deep come out.
That record really was a way of just knocking out the decade at #1.
That one was smashing. That smashed, and Bootzilla smashed. And it just kept going on and on and on.
It's ironic that for the average radio listening fan, nothing was ever heard from them again. Funkadelic did not have a radio hit after that.
Being aware of the non-ending condition of our radically non-logical, necessary, and yet free and responsible nature.
All the documentaries and all the interviews about George and all the inside talk is that it fell apart in '79. Even George himself realized you only get 3 or 4 years of commercial appeal, pop appeal, anybody.
To me, planned obsolescence is a reality. I don't care how good anything is doing. Sooner or later, it's got to slow down and stop for a minute. And it's a mistake take over.
He called the next album Glory Hella Stupid.
Glory Hella Stupid, or Pin the Tail on the Funk Game. This is the Big Bang from Parliament on Casablanca Record and Film Works.
And he asked Overton Lloyd, he said, make me a jackass, make me a donkey, because we just had 3-4 years of popularity and they're about to get rid of us now. And they're about to say we're insane. You know, I once heard George say that, oh, you're a genius when you're popping, but when you're not popping, you're just another crazy artist. And I'm about to go back into being perceived as a crazy artist. So he made himself a jackass. Pin the tail on the funky.
We went from Glory Hella Stupid to Trumbipulation.
While y'all was picking up things with your fingers and toes, I've been digging on things with my nose. Can you dig it?
Trumbipulation was actually the last Parliament album.
Sir Nose has got the funk mob with this Trumbipulation Z. You better jam the New Do Review with Parliament's latest album, Trumbipulation. The foot stranger.
Yeah, I can dig it. I can dig it.
Back in '79, Parliament was still with Casablanca. Funkadelic was with Warner Brothers at that time, too. So Neil Bogart dies. That just really kind of like screwed everything up.
A lot of people think that when Neil died, that it had something to do with the group. You know, finally coming off the road for a while, slowing down, whatever.
So after Neil, for us, it was like, wow, damn. Is it over? Where's another Neil Bogart? It's like, I don't know, Bubba, but we're going to keep on funking anyway.
Neil leaving the company did slow down the ability to maneuver with the Casablanca, but we was strong on our own.
The entourage was getting bigger and bigger. The fact that George would work with any gifted kid, anybody who had a little something to say, eventually the group is like 50, 60, 70 people strong.
Then you had greedy lawyers. You know, everybody was skimming off the top.
And to keep everybody happy must have been a big deal. So yeah, the bottom fell out of it a little bit.
The record industry went through a crash in '79 as a result of disco anyway. They had been promoting so much of this worthless stuff.
We had to do something to survive, so George decides to go solo.
And it took a couple of years before he could get recharged, reloaded, a new deal as George Clinton.
He really didn't want to go solo, though. So he was scared. He was scared. But now we have to come up with some music. We got to come up with something. So we come up with this track with all this backwards stuff going on. So George come running in the studio, snot running out of his nose, thinking his career's all over with. Oh, now, because what else can you do? Go do drugs. So I guess the drug kicked in on him, making him think, uh-oh, man, your career's over. He come in there hollering, hey, life all on fours, make it compete, all the dogging. After he got it on, he left. So now we're looking at each other crazy like, okay, so what did he just do? What was that all about? I remember saying, I don't know what y'all gonna do. What I'm gonna do is, whatever the heck he did in there, I'm gonna go build all around that and see what we come up with. Then he come back the next day, a couple of days. He come back telling me he's gonna fix his parts. I said, you can't do that. He said, why can't I do that? I said, because I done built everything around what you did. He said, well, wait a minute, play what I did. What did I do? I said, this is what you did. You was talking about the dog.
Yeah, this is a story of famous dog. When the dog that chases its tail will be busy. These are clapping dogs, rhythmic dogs, harmonic dogs, house dogs, street dogs. Dogs of the world unite. dancing dogs. Yeah, cotton dog, funky dogs, nasty dogs.
You had Atomic Dog, which you knew was P-Funk. It wasn't just George Clinton stepped off and went solo. George was like, what will work for us? Well, my name isn't burnt. You know, if Parliament-Funkadelic, if these names are burnt, let's use the name George Clinton now. People have been reading the album covers, George Clinton. But it was still a Parliament-Funkadelic album.
The first record we put out was Atomic Dog. And it showed that we were still on it. The record blew up to be bigger than all the records we had.
And it was right there, dueling Billie Jean for #1. Billie Jean 6 months, Atomic Dog 6 months.
What George Clinton did with Atomic Dog really set in motion a whole thing for the 80s in terms of the electro-funk beat, in terms of this way of dealing with the black sexuality in the urban reality in a way that was cool and funky and yet spoke the truth.
It wasn't just a song, you know, but it just became a way of life for guys, you know, to be a dog, you know, so.
It's affirming the natural essence of black folks and people in general, and yet it's modern, it's futuristic, all at the same time. George Clinton had reinvented himself. He had reinvented a sound. So that resonated throughout the next 4 albums that George Clinton was doing.
P-Funk was alive and flourishing in the 80s from a listener standpoint. You shouldn't have bit fish. Man is nuclear fission, but the fish on his line is bigger in his mind than the reality of the reel he has to reel it in. He was talking about the whole nuclear age. You know what I'm saying? Some of my best jokes are friends, R&B skeletons in the closet, computer games.
In the 80s, George did a lot of collaborations with a lot of different people, and one of those people was Prince.
I'm going down to Alphabet Street. I'm gonna crown this girl that I need. I'm gonna talk so sexy. She'll want me from my head to my feet.
We couldn't get a record deal. Now, Prince had Paisley Park going at that time. And Prince was a fan of ours. I guess he called George or something and said, come on out, and, you know, let's get together. Him and Prince was just writing and trying to bring the funk back together again, keeping it alive.
Oh, and George also introduced the Chili Peppers. I think it was Rick Rubin's idea, but he produced the Chili Peppers in the 80s.
He was going to stay where the groove was. He always knows how to do that. It doesn't matter if he has people older than him, his granddaughter, people 3 times as young as him. He's going to be where the groove is at.
Hello?
Yo, Q.
What's up, Mr. George?
Come on through, man. We're having a little get-together.
I don't know, man. Your get-togethers are kind of wild.
Come on, man. You know it's one nation under a groove.
I know we one nation.
Come on through, man.
All right, I'll be there.
When the hip-hop world came into P-Funk, it was via James Brown.
Naturally, after all the James Brown samples were used up, the groove, the head, the way you nod your head to it, it was time for P-Funk.
Funk is the DNA of hip-hop. It's where you can clone a record. Cloning and sampling is basically the same thing.
A lot of rap music was based on funk samples, you know, sampling the James Brown and Sly Stone and Funkadelic, you know, the Meters, you know, those kind of were the teachers of the hip-hop producers. Like, hip-hop producers didn't go to school and study music.
Most of those P-Funk producers, those samplers and loopers, were teenagers and young kids that went to the original P-Funk concerts, the P-Funk Earth Tour, the landing of the mothership back in the day, and they peeped game, and they saw that, and they said, that's the kind of gangster I want to be.
So when you look at a George Clinton, even though it was otherworldly, I think the thing that appeals to the rap community is it was still street at the same time. So see, it's not really about just being, you know, different. You got to have some kind of connection.
You know, especially in the beginning of hip hop, that was what it was all about, was the bottom and the lyrics, you know, the bottom and finding some hook to redo. So the fact that, you know, George and Parliament had both those elements pretty down better than anybody, I think. You know, is pretty irresistible to hip hop.
Let's see, the first groups in the late 80s to like get us out of James and into George was probably Public Enemy, Eric B. and Rakim, EPMD especially.
De La Soul, in their groundbreaking album in 1989, 3 Feet High and Rising, they sampled a lot of P-Funk. The big hit was Me, Myself, and I.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me, mirror, what is wrong? Can it be my De La clothes, or is it just my De La song? What I do ain't make-believe. People say I sit and try, but when it comes to being De La, it's just me, myself, and I. Just me, myself, and I.
The group that explained what the P-Funk connection was Digital Underground.
Now as the record spins around, you recognize this sound, well it's the underground. You know that we're down with what you like, with what you like.
And though we're usually on a serious tip, check it out. Tonight we're gonna flip and trip and let it all hang out tonight. We're gonna say what we like.
We were definitely offspring of George Clinton and Bootsy and their whole philosophy. You know, just a lot of people were sampling P-Funk, but they weren't living by it. And we wanted to live by it. Everybody's good. We're all invited. Come on, yeah, he could be in the group too. Yeah, throw a midget in the mix.
And then they come with this whole discussion about the life of a funketeer. Let's talk about what it means to witness P-Funk and how that makes you a funketeer yourself.
Come on, I do the Humpty Hump. Come on, I do the Humpty Hump. Check me out, y'all. I do the Humpty Hump. Just watch me do the Humpty Hump. Yeah, do you know what I'm doing the Humpty Hump? Come on, I do the Humpty Hump. I do the Humpty Hump.
If it feels good, do it. If it sounds good, taste it. You know, those are George's words. So we did consider ourselves sons of the P.
Check it out. First I limped to the side like my legs was broken, shaking and twitching, kinda like I was smoking. Crazy, whack, funky. People say you look like MC Hammer on crack, Humpty.
You have P-Funk just giving you the formula, blessing you with their magic wand. Now go ahead, and people built empires off of little chunks off the P-Funk rock.
Is it Dre? Is it Dre? That's what they say every single day in LA. Yo, but I ain't tripping, I'm just kicking it. While my D's keep spinning and these hoes keep grinning, I'll be holding in my 6-4. What everybody saying.
As things got real heated in the late 1980s and early 1990s, this music from the West Coast came out, and these West Coast rap groups cranked up the volume on the beats, cranked up the thump, cranked up the bass keyboard loops, and that puts you right there in the pocket with this P-Funk sound.
Dr. Dre was very influential in that, in the Chronic album. You know, hip-hop is so driven on just drum and bass. And that, you know, Parliament, George Clinton, they still own the best bass lines ever written.
That Dre Day, Snoop Doggy Dogg, all those songs, not just knee deep.
is that bass is in your face and you can feel it pounding through your chest.
Ice Cube said something to me one day that was profound. He said, hey, Frankie, he said, all we need y'all to do is keep doing what you do, you know, so we can keep doing what we do.
When I started to produce after our first album, you know, I started getting to the record covers, and there was a lot of rappers out at the time, and I knew that the only way that we could make our mark and live up to the name Outkast is to do our own thing, you know. So when you're researching these records and you're going through album covers and you're attracted to the bands that you like. So when you look at Sly Stone, Prince, Funkadelic, Sun Ra, all these bands, they all had their own thing going on, and I knew at that point in time, that's the team that I'm on.
P-Funk today, like P-Funk when it first came out, had a number of layers and a number of levels and a number of tentacles that reached out in different realms of music.
P-Funk simply is what time it is, because everybody that has been in the music industry that has records out all use a line, they use a verse, they use part of the music in their live set. Everybody I know, everybody.
As George says, funk is his own reward, and it's still managing to survive.
He was able to create a whole nother style of music called funk, and wherever he was at in his head, you know, turned out to be something that we all wanted to sing to.
He's the groove man, you know, that's his contribution. So he's the raw. He's like, when you think funk, he is the rawest of it.
Right now, as we speak, as you're watching this, George Clinton is on tour somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And there's a Parliament record on the radio right now, and there's P-Funk being played at a party right now, and there's a brand new rap song getting made today that reuses P-Funk.
P-Funk is forever coming. I go for coming. Come and think of it, I think of it, and then I come. P-Funk never going anywhere. It's always here, it always will be here.
A good evening. Do not attempt to adjust your radio. There is nothing wrong. We have taken control as to bring you this special show. We will return it to you as soon as you are grooving. Welcome to station WEFUNK, better known as We Funk, or deeper still, the Mothership Connection, home of the extraterrestrial brothers, dealers of funky music, P-Funk, Uncut Funk, the bomb.
Coming to you directly from the mothership. Top of the chocolate Milky Way. 500,000 kilowatts of P-Funk power. So kick back, dig, while we do it to you in your eardrum.